Music for putting this all together. We have a very special announcement. Sir Cliff Richard. Cliff Richard is doing a new record, and it will be coming out in October. And it's an album of soul duets with some of the greatest soul singers in the world: Percy Sledge, Dennis Edwards, and the Temptations. Review, the only living lead singer of the Temptations, who sang "Papa Was a Rolling Stone," "Ball of Confusion," "Cloud Nine," "I Can't Get Next to You." Also Candy Staton, Billy Paul, me and Mrs. Jones, The Times, who had Miss Grace. We've got a bunch of others, and two of the people he's singing with, Shantae Moore's also on it, and two of the people are here. I'd like to introduce them to the audience first. The band old lady, Frida Payne. Stand up, Frida. Looking hot as usual. And a man who had 24 hits here. He had 15 top 10 records. He is the lead vocalist on all the Stylistics hits. The one and only Russell Tompkins Jr. He will be singing with Cliff Richard. And this all came together when Gloria Hunniford and I were doing a show called Celebrity Cash in the Attic. And she said, "Well, you did." I made her laugh. She kept saying to me, "Are all these cousins real?" And I said, "You better believe it." And she said, "You should work with Cliff Richard. You should do something unique." And I said, "You know, I've always had an idea, because I love his voice. I remember when I heard Congratulations and We Don't Talk Anymore, and Suddenly with Olivia Newton-John, and all these great songs he did. And I said, I'd love to do an album, because he's got a wonderful falsetto, but he's got a really pretty voice. I'd love to do an album of soul duets with him and different soul legends and some contemporary people, like Shantae Moore, and a number of others who are going to be announced soon." And so she said, "Let me get him on the phone." And she did, right there as we were taping Cash in the Attic. And he said, "I want to do it." I said, "Okay." Like that, it was done. And that was only about 8 or 12 weeks ago that we talked, and it's come together very fast. And I'd like to introduce the man himself. No need to say what he's done. More record sales than any male vocalist in the history of the UK. True legend, Cliff Richard.
Thank you very much. Actually, it was more than any female artist as well. No, thank you so much, and thank you for showing your interest by being here today. And Gloria, I do realize that you are the reason why we're here, and introducing me to David, and I will never forgive you. It's certainly, so far, it's been a really different experience for me. I mean, David, as you probably know, is just a firecracker. When he calls about the album, he'll suddenly slip into the concert. When we haven't even recorded the album yet, he already has a concept and an idea of how it should look and who's going to be there. It's been a really, so far, pleasurable trip, and I'm sure it will continue. And the thing for me is, when he first mooted the idea over that phone, I said to him, "Well, I can't imagine how I could do this, because certainly in Britain, my office is not geared up to sort of prance around America and meet all these famous, iconic people and invite them to be on an album with me." I said, "If you can do this, and so far so good, if we can finish this, I will have died and gone to heaven." Because the people you've met too, Russell and Rita here already, when you think of all the other names, the possibility of singing with all of them, you're talking about iconic people from the history of pop rock music. When you think of that whole Motown area, it's just a dream come true for me. And I have tried to make some changes in the past, in the recent past, particularly since the record industry seems to have taken a total nosedive. Artists have to think of new things to present to the public. It's difficult to be new when you've been singing for 52 years. But you can be new by doing something that's off the wall. No one would have expected me to sing a bunch of soul songs with iconic soul singers, but I'm going to try. I'm going to do my soul, they're going to do their soul, and we should end up sounding so delicious.
That's the name of the album, by the way. We haven't told you, but it's called Soulicious. Soul and delicious, in case you don't know what it means.
And I know that I'm really grateful to what's happened to me over the years. I'd like to mention a couple of names, if you don't mind. For instance, Brian Bennett and Bruce Welsh are here, where would I have been had there not been the Shadows right there alongside me, and also between them giving me probably more hits than anybody else gave me in my career. Thank you so much. This is a rare thing to say, but there are two disc jockeys here who actually do play my records. Mike Reed and Graham Dean, where are you guys? Oh, they're there. So thank you so much for that. One of the exciting things is that those of you who know about the Motown, all about the Diana Ross, all that era of music, will know the name Holland, Dozier, and Holland. And when David said to me, Lamont, Dozier is going to produce some of the album, half the album with you, I said, you mean Dozier or Holland, Dozier and Holland? He said, the very one. I was so thrilled, I can't tell you, because again, they're names that capture a moment and an emotion that we've all lived through in rock and roll. And so it gives me great pleasure to introduce the guy who's going to produce half the, well, probably more than half the album, and sing on it too, Lamont Dozier.
I think you're going to be looking forward, I think you're going to hear rather, something very special that we have. A lot of new songs and a lot of some standards that have been revised and flipped, you might say, as we say. But we're very excited about it. I'm knee-deep in songs and preparing a lot of great things for Cliff, a lot of challenges, but I think he can weather the storm. He has a great voice, and I've been looking forward to working with him for quite some time. You know, we've been in and out of England for years. I used to stay here, matter of fact, back in the 80s, but I never got my chance to get with Cliff, and here's my opportunity to shine. I think it's going to be something all you fans of Cliff are going to love, as well as all you soul fans will love as well. So thank you for coming, and I hope you enjoy what the future brings. Thank you.
Lamont Dozier, you know, when you think of the tunes that he wrote, Baby Love, Stop in the Name of Love, You Can't Hurry Love, My World is Empty Without You, Come See About Me, Reflections, Reach Out, I'll Be There, Take Me in Your Arms, Rock Me, This Old Heart of Mine is Weak for You, Bernadette, I Can't Help Myself, Sugar Pie Honey Bun. I mean, it goes on and on and on. He's a genius. Let's hear it for Lamont Dozier. Because we like to work with geniuses, we got two more doing the album, and that's Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson, and they're going to be producing a number of the tracks as well. They wrote Ain't No Mountain High Enough, The Boss, I'm Every Woman, You're All I Need to Get By, Good Love It Ain't Easy to Come By, Ain't No Mountain High Enough. It's just, they're incredible, incredible writers. And we're recording this record in Memphis at the High Studios, where Al Green and Ann Peebles and Syl Johnson, Otis Clay, cut all their tracks with all the Memphis musicians. And it's going to be quite an experience, because I used to live there, and I can't wait to introduce Cliff to my housekeeper, Vagina Caseman, who's still there. So that will be an experience, am I right? Are you looking forward to singing that? Yes. Okay, so we are going to take questions, and we got a tour. Sorry, we got a tour. Come on up, everybody. We got a tour in October. We're playing a number of the cities. We're not telling you all of them, but we're playing London at the O2, and we're playing Liverpool and Manchester, and we're playing Birmingham and Newcastle. We're playing all of them, and it's really going to be a spectacle. All gospel choir, angels that fly in the air, budget that I'll try to keep to, but something so surreal, you have to see it to believe it. So that's coming up, and we're doing a making of DVD. Our time there with all of us and Ashford and Simpson and Cliff in the studio, So I think you're going to get to see a lot of the excitement that we create, and especially Cliff, because he's a wonderful man to work with. So we're going to take your questions. Do you have any questions?
You were known to be very influenced by Presley, Elvis Presley, when you were young. When did you first get hooked on Motown? Do you remember when it started to really influence you?
The minute Motown happened, of course, it was always instantly successful over here. We had, I think at that stage, there was that offshore radio and stuff, you know, the pirate radios. People like Tony Blackman and all the other people. Graham, you were on them. Weren't you a pirate? Too young for that. Or too young for that. Anyway, but as soon as they played the stuff, you see, when you go through the titles, as you just did, and I know there's about 140 more, but they were all instant. And to me, rock and roll has always been, Bruce used to say, you've got to have ears. And you've got to be able to hear that song and go, on one hearing sometimes. You can do it on one hearing. So for me, I got into all of that really, really early and bought those records. I mean, who wasn't a fan of Diana Ross and Billy Paul and all these folks? They were in all our record collections. But you have to start somewhere, and Elvis was the first, to me, the prototype of the new wave of singers that came along that learned how to pose. You know, before that, it was wonderful singers, and now I have a very eclectic taste. I play on my CD player in Barbados, where I came from yesterday and came back tomorrow. Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, Elvis Presley, the Everly Brothers, Motown stuff, it's all there. Because in the end, it's about music. And these guys, they know how to make music. So I'm so happy that I'm going to be finally part of their music.
Great.
Thank you.
The other question I wanted to ask you was, it says here you're going to play Vegas. I don't think you've done that before. Have you? A Vegas show?
No.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, I've been there, and I'm not sure I can tell you much about it, other than when we do the show here to present the album. Obviously, we'll know very quickly if this is really working. I mean, I think we'll know as soon as we make the record. So once we've made the record and you hear it and it sounds good to us, I'll be very comfortable to do a concert with these folks. If it works here, we'll take it through, and then let's talk about going to Vegas. There's nothing confirmed as yet. I'm not even sure about availabilities of wherever we're going to play. But I have never made it in the States, and I think it's jolly well about time.
He did. I'm going to correct him. He had 7 hit singles in the States, and 4 of them top 10. We don't talk anymore as a classic, but we're going to take it to a different level, and I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah, it's going to take it from here to here.
Anybody else with a question?
I'm just interested that how Gloria and David and Cliff and Lamont get to know each other, because that sounds like an episode of Come Dine With Me that I want to see.
Well, Gloria and I have been friends for years and years, absolutely years. And obviously Gloria knew David. I knew of David. And actually we'd met a couple of times.
You went to that engagement party.
Yes, I did, that's right. But Gloria and I...
Way back when?
When? But we've actually been friends for a long time. And when Gloria rang me and said, I'm with David, it was a simple matter of saying, okay, what's the idea? And here we are, standing here, not that long past the date of introduction, to being able to present what we think is a really exciting project. For me, I can't believe my luck, because now that I've hit 50, I feel that anything that comes my way that I feel I can participate in, I will grab, because the choices get less and less, and a lot of that's to do with radio. Radio has taken away a big piece. Look, I think about you. I still consider myself a recording artist. I know I've done television, I know I do concerts, I've done movies, but I always think of myself as a recording artist, and that's the area that's been stripped, because I don't think this is going to be the first time I will have gone into the studio in many years with a bunch of brand new songs. Okay, there's maybe four oldies, but the rest of them are going to be new, because in the end your heart tells you who's going to play them. And I'm just hoping that maybe there'll be some honest people that will say, we like it, we don't care if Cliff Richard is on it.
No, it starts,
Yeah.
It starts with the music first, and I think there's quite a few people who just love music and who will be touched by this and who will play it.
I hope so.
Do we have another question?
Hi, Sir Cliff. Sorry if this is, apologies, slightly off topic, but I wonder if a national treasure like yourself will be coming in from Barbados for a certain royal wedding that's happening on April 29th.
I'm so concerned. When you call me a national treasure, my mind went off.
Will you be coming to the royal wedding on April 29th? Have you been invited? And if not, will you be following it?
He's in the studio in
Yes.
Memphis, Tennessee.
Well, I'll be in the studio.
Recording. Any other questions?
Down front again. If you've got some of the most loyal fans in the world, do you think that this new sound will bring you a new fan base, that people who may not listen to your music previously will now experience it?
Yes, I think the thing is, of course, that to me, rock and roll is a huge umbrella term for a whole bunch of things that happen, whether it be Motown or Elvis or Des O'Connor even, who had huge pop ballads and number ones in our rock pop charts. It's a whole gamut of music. Sometimes I think the public make a mistake, as do DJs, where they compartmentalize us. I'm the goody two-shoes who sings Living Doll. Sorry, I do Devil Woman as well. So you can branch out. So yes, I've got a feeling there'll be a lot of people who just became Motown fans, and because they see the names on the album, they're going to say, oh my God, Clifford with Candy. I mean, and they'll listen and hopefully they'll like it and realize that really we're just singers. We're tools like actors are. We need directors, we need songs and producers. So I'm excited by the concept, and that's why I very carefully said that I'll be singing my song, they'll be singing theirs. And usually if you get that chemistry like that, it should be a really nice and beautiful experience.
Another question? Anybody else?
Cliff, the old chestnut of getting airplay.
Where are you?
Oh, great.
Oh, great.
Yeah, the old chestnut of getting airplay on the radio. You're going to have to battle against that again, aren't you?
Yes, I think it's fair to say that nothing to do that I think any of us did wrong, but it does seem, it smacks of ageism to me, but I'm always careful about it. It may not be that. It may just be that people don't like what Eric Clapton does anymore, or me, or Tina Turner, or Elton John, or Phil Collins. It may be that we're not making the right records, I don't know. It seems to me that when I hear these songs, I get just as excited as in the car coming out, I was playing the songs again. I got really excited hearing these songs. Some of them are new, most of them will be new. And it's the same as when I got songs when Bruce and I were working out on Really Famous, Green Light, Every Face Tells a Story. We got excited about the songs. And in those days, of course, we did get a fair crack at the whip when it came to airplay. And if you're going to have a #1 in Britain, you have to have airplay. People say, oh, why don't they just download you on the internet? I said, what are they going to download? If they've never heard your name or your song, how can they put in, oh, Mr. X? It just doesn't work. So radio is a problem, but of course, I could start my own radio station. That was going to be my next question.
In answer to your question, we do have a number of contemporary artists who are about to sign on for the project. Can't say who, but the music that we have so far is written not only by Lamont, but by his son, Dozier, who produces a lot of hip-hop artists, and it's very, very contemporary. I think you're all going to be shocked at what you hear. It's catchy, you'll remember it, and don't be shocked if there is a rap or two on one of these records, because it will blend, and you may laugh now, but we're going to have the last laugh.
I'll be shocked.
Any other questions?
Hi, Alicia from the Daily Express. A question for all three of you. Which contemporary stars do you rate today and why?
Shall I start? I don't know about, I mean, I always have to wait now for contemporary stars because, as you know, our industry, again, I'm not quite sure when and how this happened, but people come and go so fast. You may love them, but after 2 years you suddenly realize, I haven't heard a thing at all. I tend to wait. So I can only go back. I just think someone who could still sound contemporary, could still be in the charts, and probably is every now and then, is Mariah Carey. When I hear her sing, I can almost hear almost every other girl sing. The new girls, they do a similar thing, but Mariah to me stands out as someone very special. But in terms of contemporary, it's really hard to keep up. I do think, for instance, the X Factor, what we didn't call it X Factor here, did we? Pop Idol. The only one that survived the years has been Will Young. And that's a rarity. I don't know about how the X Factor guys go in the States, but they come in big. And as soon as they have a record that's just #2, Bruce, just #2 is considered a failure. We thought that was a success. And they're dumped So it's hard to answer your question, really honestly, because until they've been around 5 or 6 years, and then of course you would consider that not contemporary anymore, it's hard to tell
You know,
where they go.
there's people too that are just iconic figures, iconic entertainers, and iconic voices. You know, like we were just talking about the girl.
Mariah Carey.
Mariah Carey and oh God, my age is showing here.
On their album or somebody else?
Yeah, the girl that's going to be singing with
Andy Stanton. Shantae Moore.
we were just talking about that. Excuse me, people.
It
Yeah.
may not be confirmed yet, so you better.
Maybe
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But in answer to that, I think when you look at the singers like Beyonce, in answer to your question, Kelly Rowland, brilliant, and Duffy, Adele is just steaming, and those are great people, and we're hoping to attract some of those type of people. It's not always easy because they're used to staying with people that are, you know, the coolest, the hippest, the youngest, but when they hear the tunes, and I played the tune for somebody in that category, and she went crazy because the tunes are so strong. They've got the hooks, they've got the choruses, they make you sing along, and I think we have a great shot at doing something different. Time will tell. Anybody else? Good question. Anybody else before we wrap it up? Okay.
No, I never met Lady Gaga. Well, I wouldn't mind singing with her, but if she can't wear those hats. No, probably I'm mentioning Adele. Adele is #1 at the moment in the States, and I only heard a couple of songs, but her voice sounds incredible. That's what I mean. Sometimes you hear people, who's the girl that won here, X Factor here, she's in the States now doing quite well. Leona Lewis. Fantastic voice. Only time can tell, and it's not going to be their fault. My big gripe is that quite often these singers are really fine singers, and something goes wrong either in their support group or radio decides not to play them or whatever, and then they disappear. And I think it's unfair because they're pretty darn fantastic. But I hope Adele can hold her up because she sounded amazing.
Unbelievable. Frida Payne. Russell, you want to speak to tomorrow? Russell talking to Gabby.
Ladies and gentlemen, will
Gloria,
you
can you come
please,
up here? Because you helped put this together.
will you
Gloria.
please thank everybody that's up here, the wonderful David Gest. Come on, Dozier. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, the Cliff